decision that Zorks was going to be skipper again?
Yeah, I think it was pretty unanimous. I haven't seen a lot of Zorks early days, but my last year here, he's a perfect fit for the club, and I think everyone voted for him, gave him maximum votes in the leadership vote, so it was very much unanimous.
What is it about his leadership that made it so unanimous?
I think he's just very. He gets along with blokes that are first year all the way to the 30-year-olds. Like, he can adapt to any situation. He's empathetic. He probably took a while to get into the system himself, and I think it was 3 or 4 years he missed out on draft. So he hasn't been gifted anything in that sort of regard, and he's had to work hard at a club that was struggling for so many years. So he's seen this place come from basically the bottom to where it is now. So he was the perfect fit.
Transformations made, like where your career was at 18 months ago to now being promoted to the leadership group. What does that mean for you personally, like a sense of pride?
Yeah, I think looking back, I've had a bit of time to reflect upon my career now, and my first 6 years was spent in and out. I think there was an article that came out last year that I was one of the top 10 most dropped players that were on a list at the time. So it does sort of bring you back down to earth, and it's not easy. Not easy in any regard, and I think we just had Tim Payne come and chat to us, and he was very much similar like in the early days. So it does give you a sense of pride from where you can come from, and it doesn't come easy a lot of the time. So yeah, I'm probably proud of that.
Seeing as you mentioned Payne here, what has he been doing with the group? What have you been able to learn off him, particularly now that you're taking on that leadership role?
We just basically had a good chat for an hour, and sort of just bounced questions off him in terms of what he did growing up, and I think he was very good growing up in all those pathways, but injuries sort of forced him away from the game, and he almost gave the game away probably 3 or 4 years ago, which is hard to believe to see where he is now. He was very open and honest about how when he was selfish and through those tough times, he was probably his worst player, but when he developed and tried to make others better, he made himself better. So I think that's something that as footballers we can take out, because cricket's, as much as it's a team sport, it's very individualised when you're out there. But as footballers, we're always out with 18, 22 blokes together. So if we can make each other better, we'll be a much better team.
Did you see yourself as a leader at this club, towards the end of last season, or even early in the pre-season? Was it?
I think as a leader, probably my last 3 years, going to the Gold Coast, I probably developed my leadership a lot there. It was a young group there, and I was probably a senior player who'd only played 50-odd games, so it was interesting, and it probably fast-tracked my development in terms of leadership being there. And I think last year I probably took ownership of the midfield a little bit with Lockie and Zorks, and we tried to drive that ourselves rather than be coach-driven as a group, because out there's no coaches out there. You can't change things in the middle of a quarter with a coach out there. So as a group, I thought that was probably something we could have got better at, and I think last year we took massive strides in that area. There's still a long way to go though.
There's nine blokes in that leadership group. It's a lot of leaders. What's the philosophy behind that?
I think there's 9 blokes, but there's 9 probably very different blokes. There's guys that are really good off-field leaders and probably role models off-field. Then there's guys that are probably in that footy leadership mode, where on-field they're really good leaders. So it's probably a big leadership group. I think we might have had 9 in there last year as well, with how it was in the end, and Hodgie as well. So I think there's still, you can put a leadership role on blokes, but there's still going to be leaders that aren't in the leadership group, and that was probably me last year. I don't think much changes in that regard. It's just probably more blokes for other guys in the club to bounce off.
Specifically, which one of the 9 strands do you bring? Why do you get the nod?
Probably my on-field and footy leadership is probably my main strength. I've been working a lot on my off-field stuff, trying to bring others and make others better, but I think probably on-field footy smarts is probably my strength in terms of seeing the game really well. And I think I'm more of a footballer than an athlete, and I've probably always said that. So that's probably something that I can help, is that on-field. And I know with the runners and things like that, they're trying to restrict how help you get from the bench. So yeah, we're trying to make players as coaches, I guess, in that regard.